House of Representatives investigates the spate of kidnappings and banditry in parts of the country. House alleges most primary healthcare centers in poor condition. And House calls for stringent measures against operators of illegal liquefied natural gas outlets across the country. Hello and welcome to You and Your Reps. I am Victor Azu. Thanks for joining us. The House of Representatives has set up an ad hoc committee with a mandate to within 2 weeks investigate the spate of kidnappings and banditry in parts of the country. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the issue of insecurity was the first deliberated upon at the commencement of the day's plenary.
House Deputy Speaker Ahmed Idris, in a matter of urgent public importance, highlighted how bandits are fleeing military operations in northwest Nigeria, but setting up camps elsewhere, terrorizing innocent villagers, citing last Sunday evening's attack in Pino village of Wase local government area, Plateau State, which left several persons dead.
The security are not helping in this situation. Whereas the citizens are making concerted effort to resolve the matter through vigilante and other operations to arrest and to protect the environment. The vigilante went up to Taraba to get those bandits. As I'm talking to you now, Mr. Speaker, those bandits have been released by the police.
Security situation is like an albatross on our neck. We have to take extraordinary measures to deal with it.
Our people no longer have confidence in the security apparatus in this country.
The House urged deployments and aerial surveillance to troubled spots. The motion from Lawal Idrisu urging comprehensive approach to manage insecurity was adopted.
Call on the federal government to focus on industrialization, diversifying the economy to engage the country's teeming youths.
Plenary featured passage of 9 bills, one of which seeks to tackle terrorism through prohibition of financing the menace, the finance bill to support implementation of the 2022 budget, and the bill seeking the establishment of Federal Medical Center Goza, Borno State, sponsored by Ahmed Jababa, passed second reading.
Medical treatment for improved access to tertiary health care and delivery in Goza and adjoining communities in Borno.
The report of the House Committee on AIDS, Loans and Debt Management on the 2018 to 2022 External Borrowing Rolling Plan of Government was considered and approved. The House requested that terms and conditions of the loans be forwarded to the National Assembly for approval and documentation before implementation of slated projects.
Following the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines in Nigeria, those eligible were advised to get the jab at the nearest primary healthcare centers in their communities. The House of Representatives at plenary alleged that less than 20% of the 30,000 primary healthcare centers are in good working condition.
When the issue was raised during plenary, debate on it led the House to pass a resolution to investigate the state of primary healthcare centers in the country.
Despite the huge resources invested into the scheme by federal government, the program has failed to achieve the desired objectives.
The debate also raised valid questions regarding whose responsibility is it among the 3 tiers of government to run primary healthcare centers and provide housing.
It was interventional initially, and now for almost 30 years, it has been there without really achieving where we needed to be in health.
The same way we have institutions like UBEC that have subsidiaries at the state level, constitution should be amended.
We claim to be practicing federalism, so we must be seen to practice federalism. Otherwise, an already overburdened federal government will continue to be overburdened even more if we adopt that approach.
An ad hoc committee was set up to look into that. The motion from Representative Benjamin Kalu demanding an investigation into the Deep Blue Sea contract, which involves procurement of a security surveillance equipment, was adopted.
The National Assembly has neither authorized nor appropriated any monies for the Deep Blue contract or any monthly expenditure.
Other security-related motions adopted include the need to investigate the assassination of a commissioner in Katsina State from Iru Salisu, the need to investigate the abduction of 5 engineers as raised by Ifeanyi Moma, and the need to curb incessant bank robbery in parts of Kogi State as moved by Leke Abejide.
Heavily armed robbers again attacked 3 commercial banks in Egbe and Odoire in Yagba West.
House members also urged government to boost food security as tabled by Richard Bande, just as the appeal for the expansion of Osubi Warri Airport as moved by Efe Afe.
In February 2021, the House passed a resolution that the Federal Minister of Aviation should ensure the opening of the Osubi Airport.
Plenary featured second reading of 6 bills, including the bill seeking to make effective conventions on chemical and biological weapons, sponsored by Abdulrazak Namdas. Meanwhile, House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila says the recent presidential assent to the climate change bill, sponsored by Sam Onigbo, will help Nigeria transit to zero carbon emission.
The award means a whole lot to me because this is an award that was earned and not an award that was purchased. So since it was coming from recognition of hard work that stretched over a long period of time, I think it's something that I have to be grateful to God about. And I hope that I will have the opportunity to continue to contribute my own quota towards having a better Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives wants authorities to take stringent actions against operators of illegal liquefied natural gas outlets across the country to safeguard lives and property. House members note increasing incidences of gas explosion and associated casualty figures as disturbing.
The appeal by the lawmakers is equal to a motion from Representative Taiwo Luga, in which she emphasized the dangers of wrong handling of cooking gas.
Liquefied petroleum gas, cooking gas on the street is a critical threat to lives and properties of the citizens.
Other motions adopted are the need to dismantle security checkpoints on roads from Abuja to the southern part of the country from Obinna Chidoka, and the call from Muda Lawal urging deployment of additional police personnel to Turo, Bauchi State. Also adopted during plenary is the motion from Sani Bala calling on governments to declare a state of emergency on staple food. The motion from Awal Jato on the need for authorities to adopt flood control measures to prevent poor crop harvest, and the motion from Simon Elisha urging the upgrade of railway line in north-central and northeast Nigeria.
Despite signals of impending global food shortages, the daily illegal movements of about 40 to 50 trailers, trucks of millet, maize, unicorn, etc. from our grand market out of the country to neighboring countries further depletes Nigeria's food bank.
Gudi, Makurdi, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe, and Maiduguri railways linking most of the north-central and northeast states in the country has been in a deplorable state for almost 2 decades.
Plenary featured the passing for second reading of the bill to establish Federal College of Nursing, Midwifery and Health Sciences in Chibok, Borno State, sponsored by Ahmed Jah Babau. The bill to expand jurisdiction of Sharia courts, sponsored by Balarabi Salami, and the bill to make provisions for e-government, sponsored by Sani Bala.
To enlarge the jurisdiction of Sharia Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital Territory and State Sharia Court of Appeal.
The House asked the Committee of the Whole considered and approved reports from the Committees on Information, Science and Technology and that of Aviation.
Now, separation of powers refers to the division of a country's government into branches, each with separate independent powers and responsibilities, so that the powers of one branch are not in conflict with those of the other branches. How does this particularly apply to us in Nigeria? Let's go find out.
The principle of separation of powers is one of the main instruments provided for by the Constitution to guarantee checks and balances
in the polity. For example, legislative powers are enshrined in Section 4 of the Constitution, followed by executive powers in Section 5, followed by judicial powers in Section 6 of the Constitution. These are powers that are guaranteed. Legislative powers are exercised by the National Assembly. There are many such powers, making laws, powers of many things, as enshrined in Section 4 of the Constitution. The executive functions powers are enshrined in Section 5, which is exercised by the President at the federal level, and then by the governors at the state level. Then you have the judicial powers that are exercised by the courts, various courts, state courts, federal courts, and so forth. So these, as I said earlier, these powers are deliberately inserted, contained in the Constitution to guarantee the separation of principle of separation of powers, so that you don't wake up with a dictator or a section of the government acting as if it were a dictator. So at any of these things can be called to order at any time. When there are crises between one arm and the other, the courts are always there to rule on the side of the law. We are all expected to act in accordance with provisions of the Constitution and the laws of the Federation. So any section or any part of the government that transgresses acts in an extra-legal manner, the courts are there to sanction those behaviors.
Statistics suggest that women and youths have been worst hit by the impact of COVID-19. Now, this explains efforts by leader of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Ado-Doguwa, to alleviate the sufferings of these vulnerable groups in his Tudunwada-Doguwa Federal Constituency of Kano State. Yahanasu Hassan reports that more than 70 million naira in cash, vehicles, fertilizers, and foodstuff were deployed to achieve this purpose.
Litu Umar and Muhammad Ali are elated to be among the beneficiaries of training and empowerment program at Tudunwada and Doguwa Federal Constituency, courtesy of the House Leader Alhassan Ado-Doguwa.
It is just like a surprise to me. It will really assist me in my studies.
This is a very good development. We are happy to be among the beneficiaries. I feel so happy with the sewing machine you gave me. I will use it to take care of myself and my children. In fact, not enough word can be used to thank you.
The empowerment, which is the second in less than 6 weeks, Doguwa says, is to uplift the living standard of his constituents.
Many of our business, especially small-scale and medium-scale businesses, have lost out in the economy due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And it is on the basis of that we have decided to, through our constituency project resources, make provisions to come and support our people with what we call cash grant. 100
tricycles, vehicles, 1,200 bags of 50 kg rice, 1,800 bags of fertilizer, in addition to 70 million naira cash, were doled out to various categories of women and youth groups.
So people may ask, oh, why fertilizer at this hour when we're already into the dry season? In Doguwa and Tudunwada Federal Constituency, we engage in both rainy and dry season farming. We have finished harvesting for the rainy season and we are now commencing fresh business into the dry season farming. That is why we have to provide fertilizer and some pesticides and other agricultural facilities to help boost agriculture in Doguwa and Tudunwada, which is, of course, the food basket of our great Kano state. We have also provided food items, bags of rice, palm oil, millet, corn, to be able to support our people who have also suffered in the last rainy season. We are doing all these things in order to supplement and complement the effort of our President Muhammadu Buhari, who has always been a president of concern for the common man. By doing that, we will definitely impact on the lives and the livelihood of our people.
This gesture, the wife of Kano State Governor, Professor Hafsat Abdullahi Ganduje, says is worthy of emulation.
To Ghana, what you are able to experience, what you are able to get is what makes you a successful individual. And that is why I can see all these qualities in the man that is sitting here. He has gotten all the positive influence, all the positive impact that he needs to be successful in life. Because that experience is what makes you to understand what is life in itself. How do you want to influence others? How do you want to contribute your own life and the life of others? And that is exactly where and how our representative, Honorable Al-Hassan Adodogwa, is able to beat all others. So wherever he goes, he's representing us. When he comes back, we can approach him, we can talk to him, we can tell him whatever is our need. And he has already demonstrated, whether you say it or you do not say it, he is there for us.
The Emir said I should thank you for making his people happy at all times. All you want is for others to profit from your good work.
House leader is always with us every weekend. In fact, I will not be wrong if I call him man of the people. We appreciate you, leader. Keep doing the good work you've been doing.
Multi-purpose center and healthcare facility, which are at advanced level of completion, are part of the giant strides recorded by the House leader.
Points and side activities, we have decided to bring you to this side to get the benefit of your blessing.
Representative Adodogwa further emphasized that his constituents deserved much more than this, adding that he will rededicate himself to the service of the people.
This week on You and Your Reps, Chairman of the House Committee on Local Content, Legor Idagbo, is our guest on the committee segment. We got him talking about the Petroleum Industry Act and how it affects local content.
The mandate of the Committee on Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring, otherwise known as Local Content, is to oversee the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. The focus of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board is to ensure that there is indeed value for money spent by investors in our local industry in our economy. Most Nigerian companies, through local content, are able to build capacity, are able to do well in the oil and gas sector. Primarily, the focus of NCDMB is in oil and gas. So it's to build capacities of the Nigerian companies, indigenous companies, is to ensure that Nigerians get some level of transfer of technology based on any major investment that is happening in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. So we oversee the board and we try to ensure that this happens. So far, so good. We've achieved quite a number of things. There are certain Nigerian companies that started out with some form of assistance in terms of single-digit interest rate loans from NCDMB. They have a fund which is domiciled with the Bank of Industry, companies like OilServe, and those companies today have grown into multinational companies. So far NCDMB has achieved quite a lot. There's still a lot more to be done. And we hope that with our partnership with them, the way we oversee them, we're just returning from Yenogwa, where we were with NCDMB for like 2 days, overseeing them and interacting with them. We hope we'll be able to achieve a lot more in the coming years. The PIA will only enhance or strengthen our mandate because basically with the PIA having been signed into law, it further creates investor confidence. People are now certain with what will happen in terms of levies for oil and gas companies, in terms of what charges will accrue when any investor is investing in the oil and gas sector. So with that certainty, investors will be more confident to come and invest. And when they do that, that's only when local content can thrive. We can begin to look at the nature of the investments in the sector and say, oh, what value are we getting for our local contractors? What value is being kept in country in Nigeria? So it will enhance local content in the country. Again, here, we're very happy that the PIA specifically talks on our local content law, which is the NOGID Act 2010. The PIA recognizes that NOGID Act. Basically, what the PIA did in an omnibus clause was to make any other law in the oil and gas sector null and void, and the PIA will be the only standing law. But it mentioned in another section that except the NOGID Act, which is the Local Content Act, which is not affected by the passage of the PIA. So therefore, the PIA recognizes that Local Content Act, and with that, we will be able to function optimally. It makes it easier for us in two ways. First, the PIA specifically recognizes the local content law. So that is recognized in the PIA. So that makes it easier for us. And then secondly, with investor confidence that has come in with the passage of the PIA, there will be more investments in Nigeria. And local content can only thrive when you have this investment. It's from investments that you begin to talk of local content. For instance, you have the LNG Train 7 project, which is a $4 billion project. So we're looking in country to say to ourselves, if $4 billion is invested in Nigeria, how much of that money will we be able to trap into our economy? Let's be sure that not all of that money will go out of the economy on capital flight. If you can trap half of that money in Nigeria, then would have been said to have done well. So Nigerians should expect better investments moving forward. And of course, that local content will thrive even better with the passage of the PIA.
Well, countdown to 2022 is now in days. We'll see what it holds for local content, especially as Petroleum Industry Act goes into full swing. That's you and your reps for the week. Thanks for watching. I am Victor Azu. Do join us again.